Being creative with Tad Williams.
Part 3.
Make ideas come to you.
What I want to do a picture of, I want to talk a little bit about dragons, because that's one of the main creatures, and flying monkeys, because it's always worthwhile to talk about flying monkeys. You know, it's important thing. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture of what I would like to call a traditional dragon. What does traditional mean? Can somebody different who hasn't spoken before? Yes. Tell me what traditional means.
Well, it's like basic, something that's been used or done for a long time.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing that we're all familiar with, right? Do you remember we were talking before about always ask questions? Right? Always ask. Never be satisfied with what people are telling you. It's when things are traditional, that's one of the times you have to ask. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to draw a picture of a dragon here. You have to help me and give me good dragon thoughts as I'm drawing here. Okay. And put a nice head on it. Long snout. Neck. Okay. Some front legs. Some claws. Okay, it's not a perfect dragon. All right, it's not a perfect dragon, but you get the general idea. Okay, there's the front leg, there's the back leg. Okay, and there's another back leg back there. Okay, and needs an eye, right? Okay, dragon has to have an eye, got to have some teeth. Okay, now, however, those of you who may have noticed our book or seen the covers or something knows that one of the things about our book is our dragons can do something besides just walk around on the ground. Like a lot of dragons, like a lot of traditional dragons, our dragons also, what? They can fly. Okay, so we have a dragon here. We're missing something, right? What are we missing? Wings. Okay, so now if I add wings on here, okay, let's just kind of make them like this. Just put them over the top. Okay. We'll assume there's two. All right, there's the other one back there. Now, other than the fact that this is kind of a rickety looking dragon, does that look like a traditional dragon? Pretty much, right? Okay. Now, but here's one of the really interesting things when you're starting to do these kinds of things is, and we're asking questions, right? And one of the questions that we would want to ask for a book like this, which is supposed to be what it would really be like to raise dragons in the real world on a farm, we have to think about what would a real dragon be like. Somebody name a famous animal out of fairy tales. You. Unicorn. Okay, that's a good one. But it's really hard to draw. All right, well, we'll try. We'll just kind of do, there's a tail, bump, and there's the middle part, and there's the other leg. Okay, this is going to be one of the world's ugliest unicorns, but that's all right.
That's good.
The point is that we need to have a head and a neck, an eye, and a happy unicorn smile. Okay, and, oh wait, the horn! The horn. What was I thinking? Okay, now, but here's the question.
That would just be a horse.
Oh, you're right. It would just be a horse. Why would a unicorn need a horn?
To fight.
To fight. That's a very good idea. Yeah, because sometimes animals use their antlers and horns to have fights, right? For territory, or just because they get bored, I guess. Why else?
Well, maybe the female unicorns would have duller shines, and the males, to impress the females, would have sparkling gold horns.
Ooh, okay. So,
Thanks.
all right. So we want horns maybe for fighting. For what you're saying is display,
Yes.
right? To say, hey, I'm not just any unicorn. I am the coolest unicorn. I am the serious, baddest,
Which pretty much leads to fight.
goldy, sparkly unicorn on the street, right? Yes.
But they might have magical powers in them, like healing.
Ah, okay. So the horns might be magical That's a good idea, especially when we're talking about magical, mythical creatures. Yes.
It could be for reaching like food or something. If they eat fruit, they may like skewer right through an apple or something.
Right. Okay.
Knock it off the horn.
Okay. So let's just take a general category and call that feeding. Now the interesting thing though, what if we say that the unicorn uses her horn for all of these things? Right away we know a lot about what this animal would be like. Okay? We can begin to use our creativity. In other words, we started at 0, right? And we're going on beyond the 0. Okay? We started with an animal that doesn't exist, right? Just like there's nothing that comes after the letter Z in the alphabet. Well, not only have we found an animal that isn't part of the normal alphabet, it's out beyond zebra, but we've started there and now we're beginning to make things with it. And what are we doing here? We're learning about this animal. I'll give you one last thing because he mentioned feeding. Here's an interesting thing. There is an animal that has a horn just like a unicorn. And I'll try and draw a picture of it.
No.
And those of you who know what it is
No.
will probably say it even before I draw it. And it's one of these. And it has,
Oh yeah, it's a whale type.
and it has,
Swordfish.
Sorry.
It's a swordfish.
no, it's not a swordfish, although you're right, it looks like it. This is actually a mammal. Here, trust me, that's a blowhole. Okay, this is called a
Narwhal.
narwhal. It's called a narwhal. This is a real animal that exists. It's a kind of a whale or a dolphin. It's a mammal. And what they have growing out of their mouths is a long tusk. And in fact, in the old days, when people found these washed up on the shore, they thought they were unicorn horns. And that's probably where the unicorn story comes from. But the interesting thing, and the reason I'm mentioning this right now, for our purposes with our unicorn. By the way, what's our unicorn's name?
Pelly.
Lacey. Athena.
Athena.
Those are all good names.
Sparkle.
That's all good names, but I'm going to call her
Mason.
Flossie.
Flossie.
Yes. Okay, Flossie, all right, like a narwhal. In our story, what narwhals use their horns for two different things. They use them for feeding because they scrape the bottom and push up little things that they eat off the bottom, crabs and shellfish and things like that.
I
But they,
eat crab.
yes. And if you had a horn, you could get them off the bottom of the ocean by yourself. And they use them also for sensing. They're very delicate sense organs, these narwhal horns. They feel vibrations through them. And the reason they feel vibrations, and this is the interesting part, the reason they feel vibrations through these horns is because this horn is actually a tooth. It's actually a tooth. It grows out, right out of the jaw and out the front of the narwhal's mouth. So it's connected to the nerves. Yeah, and it goes straight out like that. So when I was working on Ordinary Farm, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if that's how that's where a unicorn's horn came from. It's actually a tooth that grows up through a hole in the skull and out of the head, and it's very sensitive. And that's why you're not allowed to touch a unicorn's horn, because it's actually something that has nerves attached to it. Okay? Because it's like a tooth. It's rooted in a unicorn's jaw. Anyway, we're going to say goodbye to Flossie. But see, look at all the good work you guys did here. See, we started out with an imaginary animal, and just by asking questions, we started to think about a lot of things about how the imaginary animal behaves, what it needs, and what you would have to do to take care of it. And you could tell me right now, with our imaginary unicorn, a lot more about how you would take care of it on a farm than you could 10 minutes ago, because we already know things about it. And it's proud, it's dangerous, it's big. We didn't even get to talk about the magical part.
It's mean.
It's mean, or could be. I have a feeling Flossie's probably only mean when forced to. I have a feeling Flossie would be mean in self-defense, or when protecting her unicubs, unifoals, whatever you want to call them. But I don't think Flossie's probably mean all the time.
Let zebra be your zero.
Always ask.